If you're new here, welcome, and to my regular fan base, welcome back. So today has been a massive victory for me and my son. I unfortunately can't submit the recording as promised because although it was online from my home, the judge made it very clear to me that if I shared this on social media, I could go into a lot of trouble and even risk imprisonment due to privacy. So I'm unable to share the recording. However, I am able to share my statement and teach other men and women too, but primarily men, because statistically speaking, it's men who go through parental alienation on a typical basis, although women do go through it as well from men. But if you look at the stats, mainly it's men, but I'm catering to both. Um, yes, but it's been a fantastic victory because the thing is, like, when you come across very authentically and real, honest, truthful, that has been my secret sauce. That's been my weapon, if you will, in the spiritual sense of being able to flip the scripts in my favor. You see, the authority, they were relying on me losing my composure. They were relying on me reacting rather than responding. The old me would have absolutely reacted and taken the baits. The new me is calm, centered, stoic, being able to control my mind versus my brain controlling me. And by utilizing this strategy, it's served me incredibly well. And how I did that with mental health as a whole was to become obsessed with breathing. Like when I'm in the bath, I breathe and it calms my mind down. And I do this every day so that I can control my emotions and regulate myself much better than being hyper intense with high intensity ADHD, which I have, being neurodiverse. And I just wish to put forth that it's really helped me out a lot by slowing down because I didn't take the bait. And when it was my time to speak, because, that film, I said this to a friend earlier on, those of you who have seen the film 8 Mile with Slim Shady, and he's in a rap battle, and at the end, and everyone's cussing him out, everyone's saying all the bad things about him, this, and this. And when it's Slim Shady's turn, at the end he goes, well, here, we'll tell something these people don't know about me. But then after destroying the person that was destroying him in the rap battle, then he said, tell something these people don't know about me. How does that relate to me? A lot. Because when it comes to the authorities and the judge was so was getting tired, quite frankly, of the authorities saying he's bad here, he's bad there, he's bad here, he's bad there. And then when it came down to it, after I kept my composure and my cool, she said, well, let's hear from you, Chris. And I'm very grateful that I decided to stand alone and go in alone. Because through the grace of God and my son's spirit inside of me, I was able to flip the script by writing out this, well, if I do say so myself, a very powerful statement. And the reason why big things are starting to happen, I feel, personally speaking, is because I've kept myself accountable and introspected, not just blame shifted like most people. And I feel that it's refreshing to a judge. And I'm going to say the breakthroughs, if you will, towards at the ends of this video. But let me first read out the statement to show you how I did it and what I said. So, with all this said, let me begin. This is what I said to the judge earlier on. So my statement to the judge following my last day at Contacts. I would like to start up this letter by saying that I had, until December of last month, been seeing my son at the contact centre since July of last summer. And my last time when I saw my son at the venue was on the 9th of the 12th, 2024. Since the 3rd of the 1st, 2024, I have chosen to represent myself in family court following my meeting with Tracy and Ellie May of the National Legal Service, as I feel that I must do this as a man and as a father due to the deplorable false accusations made about me in relation to my son's dad, and that I must defend myself with every fibre of my being for my son. There are a multitude of reasons behind this, and following my briefing of the meeting yesterday with National Legal Aid, I am told that I need to write out my statement revolving around the boundaries of the current situation relating to the local authority's decision to suspend contact for the foreseeable future between my son and his father, and I'll do my very best to do such here, while saving the rest of my stacked defence for the final evidence hearing at family courts, whenever this future date will be. Let's go over me and my son's journey and the authorities together at the contact centre, covering them in the following points. My son's and I interaction together at contact from my own personal viewpoints. For roughly over a 4-month period, since I believe of August of last year, my son and I were in a forced situation of being observed twice a week, 1 hour per contact session on a Monday and a Thursday between the hours of 4 to 5 by contact service supervisors. I found this incredibly upsetting due to the false accusations made about me by my son's nan and the authorities. I am an innocent man and can prove this truth in my final evidence statement. I always did my best for my son at contact and gave him every fibre of my being, emotionally, psychologically and spiritually, with emotional immersion pertaining towards love. That hour was my son's, and no matter how I felt for the most part, considering the circumstances of this current situation, I felt that I did my absolute best to maintain my composure for the majority speaker throughout the last 5 months, with the aforementioned point of my son's and his father's interaction together, considering the situation, and we made the most of a horrendous situation for both of us. At contact, I would mix up activities such as reading, board games, homework, toys, and playing with him, with whatever that this entailed for him regarding the playing activities and games of his own choice. At contact, I fully admit that I would be recording from my device to demonstrate a timeline of authenticity, purity, and truth. This would include whilst being in the contact room and recording our activities and filming at the reception area as I was walking through the main entrance to prove that week by week my son would always run up to his father as I was coming through the main doors. Why I did this was to showcase is that this is not something that an abused child would do. Moreover, if he was an abused child from me, then why would he want to see his father at contact to begin with? My personal opinion is that he would not want to see his father if this was indeed true, let alone his body language, mannerisms, and facials, illustrating nothing but excitement and love upon seeing his dad on a consistent basis with every visit. My son has displayed nothing but joy, happiness, and love at contact with his father, and this can all be proven by my recordings with a timeline of damp tapes from my recorded data. I was accused by the local authority of being paranoid by doing this. I strongly disagree. I believe that this is projection on the local authority's part in their attempts to deflect accountability for the local authorities' reprehensible treatment towards me. And I can prove this in my final evidence, and will go deep here when I submit a mountain of truths relating to this. When everything was so fresh last summer as I first started seeing my child at the contact centre, it's true that my emotions became overwhelmed, and in turn I was coming across as threatening. But to my honest recollection of it being the 4th or 5th week visit in the beginning stages at contacts, I was verbally abusive, although not by swearing and not by shouting, at least not intentionally, to the contact service supervisors. I can honestly say that due to being neurodiverse with adult ADHD, which stands for Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder, that I have a loud and powerful voice, and I am misperceived by many people here. And when I became emotional and upset from being constantly distracted by being creepily stared at, I found it very difficult by the observers, creepily stared at, by A, how me and my son were being looked at excessively, and B, incredibly distracting, especially considering my son's and his father's situation. My behaviour, in order to promote transparency and accountability, did become somewhat perhaps threatening to other people, as I was becoming increasingly upset as the weeks went by. But A, I can't help how I was born, with high intensity energy, being quick, my mannerisms, etc. This is common with ADHD, and I humbly request that the judge notes this truth. And B, this only accentuates the aforementioned point when I become emotionally upset given the situation. And when contact was suspended the first time around, I was in a bad state of mind due to the situation being so fresh at that time last summer, and having so many people at once from different departments being in communication with me. Side note, I commend the judge for showing compassion by reinstating my physical visitation rights with my son at the beginning when the contact was suspended for the first time, and gave me a second chance following one online appointment that was supervised by multiple people from authority after contact was suspended for a little while. And moreover, pertaining towards me being upset, this is because the supervisors looking very creepily at my son and his father from their observations. So I would record a lot to distract myself from this, as it was making me extremely uncomfortable. A meeting with my son's social worker and the contact service facilitator was set up. I forgot the exact date, so please excuse me here, to discuss my excessive recordings and where I was recording. And I suggested, to avoid future potential conflicts, after accidentally filming a child in the video who was really far behind my son in the background at the reception area, but I can't stress enough that I was focused on my son with the video to showcase how happy he was to see me, that I should, so following the meeting, that they're saying that I should record only in the private room. And well, I suggested it and they agreed to it, which was agreed upon. I was given a 10-minute recording time after negotiations with the social worker and the contact service facilitator to keep myself accountable. I did go over slightly with my video minutes from the first two occasions when these rules were implemented from the first two occasions, and me and the facilitator spoke of this when I called her up to discuss. Following our phone conversation, side note, I always showed the facilitator respect by asking how can I improve at contact from her viewpoint in any way, shape or form. I made a conscious, deliberate, determined effort with a laser-like focus to keep my recordings under 10 minutes long in the future following our phone conversation, and I kept it well underneath the deadline, with the minutes being on average between 6 and 8 respectfully after the first two slip-ups. I can also prove this truth upon request by way of a date and time-stamped timeline. Respectfully. Side note, I have my own opinions. Sorry, bear with me. Going forwards, I am humbly proposing that I can start to help out an aging elderly 72-year-old with my son's school runs, especially as it is becoming very cold now and will only get much worse soon. If I was such a threat, then my son's nan would not have met me at Pizza Express to bury the hatchet and to make peace for my son. Pause. Big logic gap here. This is why I'm flipping the script, because I can call them out on so many things, and the lies are starting to be uncovered now, because if I'm made out to be this horrible monster, which I have been, due to greed for money and the authorities, it's because of my past and my history, whilst under the mental health system, living in supported accommodation places, I did a lot of bad things. But my point is, A, your past shouldn't be a life sentence. B, people can change. C, environment is everything. And once you're in a peaceful environment, now I've got a 3-bedroom home. I'm very grateful, humbled and blessed here. But I stayed out of trouble for, my record's spent 10 years. I haven't been charged with anything. So all these things stacked up, and moreover, frankly speaking, that the judge was, hang on, big logic gap here. Maria met me because my son's voice couldn't be silenced. That's the thing. He couldn't be silenced after I chose to. I just can't do this contact anymore. I was emotionally exhausted, and I was. But much more importantly than me, my son was emotionally exhausted, and I could see psychologically how damaged he was becoming. But also, I was getting angry with his homework attempts not being met. His part needs, going out playing with other children, not being met. How could they be? His carer is a 72-year-old. It's amazing that she can do school runs. I commend her. But she needs to understand that he's not a baby now. That's why I said to the judge, he's a boy now. He's a boy that has needs now. He's a boy that you can't just ignore, and, you have to attend those needs. And, so this really went in my favor. Let me continue with the statement here. Let's see. On the last one here. Oh, yes. I am not opposing the local authority suspending my contact for the foreseeable future due to the emotional and psychological damage that this ordeal has had on myself and most importantly my child. When I had my meeting with the social worker recently, and I put forth accountability, I told her that me and my son's nan, and myself met for Pizza Express. I didn't have to do that. I declared that so that I could, bridge that gap, of, let's have a fresh start, gain their trust through my compounded evidence stacking of what I have on them, because I could sue them for many things. I've been told this by speaking to no-win, no-fee firms, blah, blah, blah. But I can't do that because of I've been fighting for a very long time now, to the point of mental, emotional, and physical exhaustion. And it's cost me a lot of work. It's cost me many friends. So I choose peace now. And I said all these things to the judge. And I also mentioned and put forth, which the judge was very happy with, that when me and Maria met up for Pizza Express, me, Maria, and my son, that's his nan, my son's nan. When the three of us met for Pizza Express, she said she was very happy and pleasantly surprised and happy to hear that we found peace for my son. Yeah, and the last part is, and this is where I flipped the script. This is how I did it. At the last contact, at the contact service centre, I asked my son to put his hands through my very long beard at the time. I grew it out especially for him. And I asked him if it was sharp and prickly. He said yes. I then proceeded to explain that when I kissed my son's face and my beard, scratched my son's face and it went red. This is when the local authorities became involved and the case took nearly over 1 whole year to shut. I then showed a video of the first time that I had my son. I then showed my son a video of the last time that I had my son in the community when he was playing in the maze, and asked him to look closely at the thistles and how sharp that they were. I explained that a thistle scratched his neck and his neck went red. When he was screaming in pain, I explained that I gently touched his neck to see the extent of the injury and told him that he got confused when he said what he said, due to how young that he was, being 5.5 at the time. And respectfully, side note, I have my own opinions that he was told to say very horrendous things about his injury by his nan to get a lovely carer's allowance and to take my son from me after I refused her to be special guardian to my child. I believe that she's manipulated the court system, for sure. She's got money from it. I didn't want her to be special guardian because it means that I would have no decision over my own son's decisions. I wanted to co-parent and do the honourable right thing. She didn't want that. So then she played dirty. I'm going to go deep here in my final evidence being submitted. That's on the, on the 30th of this month. I thought it was the 20th, but they changed the date today to the 30th for some reason. And also, here's my secret source right here. So I also showed a video, or a voice recording, so I should say, of my son's nan screaming and degrading him, calling him a terrible boy, he's no good. And that my son, in his voice, he could hear his own voice saying, this was like about 1.5 years ago, when the problem started, and his nan's deflected onto me. But he told me, because I've proved that she's an actual abuser. My son said Nana pulled his hair when me and him were doing homework together at her place. She was in the next room. So I put all this forth to the judge. But yeah, continuing on. So I showed my son all this evidence and I said, I don't know when I'll see you again, son, but I love you and I'd rather you know the truth right now so you can't be manipulated. You know the truth. Is it wrong to say this to a 6.5-year-old on the surface? Absolutely. But when you scratch at the surface, I would say it's reprehensible that a 6.5-year-old's been lied to about what I've supposedly done. Because you look at all my Facebook videos of my son and his dad, there's nothing but love, authenticity, connection. Spirit irritates others' demons. That's why I'm in this situation. I wish that I didn't give a shit like most dads. To a certain degree I do. It'd be a lot easier, you know? But when you do what parents should be doing, people they ain't gonna like that shit. I didn't say this to the judge, I'm just saying. Continuing on with the statement. So my son's not manipulated and brainwashed and the wedge is driven between us. I'll show them the truth. So that's everything, really. And following how honest I was, how accountable I was, this is how I flipped the script. And in my favour, because the judge, all of a sudden, she wants more, straight away she's asked for online communication ASAP as soon as possible, number one. Number two, she's asked me to do a video of myself and send that to my son's social worker so that I can have a video sent to my son and my son will know that I'm thinking of him. This came directly from the judge. And number three, she's called out the local authority on many things, many wrongs that they've done. And I can't be descriptive here because of the legalities. I can for me because it's my stuff, but for them I can't, I can't get into trouble. But my point is, the judge seemingly, by being accountable, and I took a gamble, man. I took a gamble. everyone was saying to me, what is come across in the best way? I don't give a shit about coming across in the best way. I care about coming across in a raw, honest, and real way. The truth behind what happened. And the judge really appreciated that. It could have blown up in my face by being accountable. But true to my heart, true to God's, guiding me, God guiding me, and my son, Spirit guiding me. I was accountable. I was. And that's how I got these good victories for me. Final court is on the 30th. And who knows, man? Maybe it's ultimately up to the judge. So maybe I can have my son in the community again very, very soon. But this is how I flipped the script anyways, with the statement I've read out, keeping myself accountable, no lies detected, being able to back up myself with proof at every corner. And this is how you do it. You compound your evidence so much where a judge will have no choice but to, when everyone's against you, but then to look at you with the evidence that you have and how you're speaking and what you're saying, and really kind of like make them think for a second by reading between the lines. And I'm very happy to report I was able to achieve this. So, God, this video is like 26 minutes over now, so it's a long one. But big victory. From here on out, I'm going to not be doing these parental and alienation videos anymore. I see it as a chapter closed in my life now. And I now wish to just focus on me and my son's development over the years, and talking about the emotions and how we're able to sustain such an authentic, loving connection. And as well as that, in the future, our comeback story, and it will be fucking epic. It will be, that's what I wish to focus on now. I will say at this point, me and a lovely man I know, he's taught me a lot of things about the mind and spirituality. His name's Hector Brito, and we're going to be teaching other men how I did it, who are facing the same situation that I've been, and how I overcame. We're going to teach that, because these videos are long on my part. I just talk, and I don't know how to shorten things, and so he's an expert at condensed storytelling. So together we're going to work, and we're going to do a private Facebook group, subscription based, and we're going to provide many insights behind being a beacon of light for other men, with my success story, knowing what to say, how to say it, being articulate, being peaceful, political, whilst being respectfully aggressive, being accountable, having integrity, all these things. We'll go deep here, but from here on out, yes, I think a change is needed on my profile, and I'm going to be just focused now on being a lot more positive now that this chapter in my life is closed. And I'll just report back by doing a quick live on the 30th after court to see what the ultimate tangible outcome is for the judge pertaining towards my son and his father, and when we how we communicate and all these things. If you made it until the end of this very long video, much love, much respect. Thank you for consuming it. Thank you. And yes, much love and blessings. And yes. It feels good. It feels good when you're accountable for your own actions and you can sleep like a baby at night, knowing that you did everything possible by fighting, but you also was raw, real, and honest with yourself. Because that was the right thing to do. And I sleep like a baby, honestly. And I want to say in closing, by looking at because it's on a Teams meeting, you see, we had earlier on. And if you look at these people, the members of authority, you look at their facials, if you look at their posture, their mannerisms, they look like very sad people. When I say sad, like dead inside, like that, and that's their karma. It is. That's their karma from the universe. I'm a firm believer in that. They just look so empty, dead. They know what they're doing is very wrong, yet they still do it because that's their job. But it has a price to pay. It does. has a big price to pay. It's a reflection of what they're putting out at their job. It comes back in droves negatively, detrimentally towards them from the universe. And I could see that earlier on. When you do right, when you're accountable to a T, when you have integrity, don't just blame other people. You know, it has the reverse thing. You know, the reverse effect. How you come across is joy, you know, positive. How you look good. You don't look like you glow. Does that make sense? Like you're glowing by doing the right thing. I know that on this video right now, I look somewhat decent. I'm kind of in a way glowing because I know that I gave everything that was inside of me out of me, right? But I did it the right way. So that's what I was just saying in this very long video. Much love, much respect. From now on, it's going to be strictly me and my son. And got some big things coming up. So stay tuned. Much love, blessings, and respect. Peace.